Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Would you please state your name, the town that you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Yes, thank you. My name is Stephanie Cadanci. I live in Barrington, Rhode Island. I'm a physician at Brown Medicine, and I am a graduate of Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. So I feel particularly strongly that guns should be kept out of schools after the horrifying events that happened there and at a number of schools. I do think that's one thing that I would love to see for Rhode Island. As a physician, I also feel that preventing people from avoiding required background checks is not okay. And I think that background checks as I do feel that it should be something that is a little bit controlled on the national level, but I do think that's something that we should not be able to avoid here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Senator Raptakis has a question for you.
Did you say you graduated from that high school?
I did.
Are you familiar with the Florida School Guardian Program?
I'm not, actually.
Okay. Since you graduated, that event took place how many years ago?
It was 17.
2017. And you already graduated from Brown University also? Or you're attending Brown?
No, I'm a physician here. So I
so if you're a physician, you're a doctor now, but you attended the school how many years ago? 2017. The timeline doesn't fit.
No,
because
Senator,
that's what I wanted to ask you. If you're a physician now, if you're familiar with the Florida School Guardian Program, and you're not. Because that program was initiated.
I graduated from that school years ago.
Oh, you graduated years ago from that
Senator,
school, before the incident. Okay,
yeah.
So
Correct.
Florida, in Florida, there's the Florida School Guardian Program, but you're not familiar with that program because that's a program that the state of Florida entertained in providing guardians, well-trained guardians, over 200 hours to guard almost every elementary school in Florida, and probably I think it's also into the middle schools and high schools. And that has individuals carrying firearms, well-trained to protect the children. So are you in favor of the Florida School Guardian Program? That's a very strong program in the state of Florida, or opposed to it?
Not knowing much else about, I feel opposed to that. I don't know that more guns are the answer to keeping schools safer.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your testimony, Doctor. You have a nice night.
You're welcome. You too.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Would you please state your name, the town that you're from? And you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Thank you. My name is Hilary Levy Friedman. I'm a resident of Providence, where I'm represented by Senator Golden, who, as you know, is the primary sponsor of S414, which I am speaking in support of this evening, along with 6 other bills that are part of the Attorney General's package of gun safety legislation. I'm also president of the Rhode Island chapter of the National Organization for Women, and I'm here to say that gun violence prevention is a feminist issue. Others have and will share the sobering and terrifying facts and statistics about domestic violence victims and how much more likely a woman is to be shot by an intimate partner, including in more than half of mass shootings. But what about the women who do not know their shooters? What about Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, who joined us in Rhode Island last year to support the passage of many of the bills before you? She was targeted because her assailant did not believe women should be in positions of power. And of course, the recent traumatic murder of 6 Asian women, targeted not just for their occupations, not just for their race, but also their gender. Their murderer was motivated by hate and racism and misogyny. Rhode Island Now is a founding partner of the Campaign for Gun Violence Prevention in Rhode Island, urges you to allow these important bills to come to a vote to keep all Rhode Islanders safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your testimony. Senator Dela Cruz has a question for you. Senator Dela Cruz.
Thank you, Chair. I really have a statement. So I know that there are individuals that are testifying that happen to be women, and they believe that women shouldn't be able to arm themselves. However, there are plenty of women that called in earlier today, and I, being on the committee, am one of those women that believe that gun ownership is actually a women's issue. It's a women's rights issue. So I would encourage those that testify on behalf of women not to just make blanket statements. Thank you.
Can I
Thank you.
please respond to that?
You may. Sure. Go ahead.
So I never said that women shouldn't arm themselves, and we're certainly not saying that no one should arm themselves, but in particular, the bills that I'm speaking about, when it comes to weapons that disproportionately do hurt women, we know that. That's not just if people want to say they're partisan facts or whatnot, but they are hard and fast numbers from injury reports, from government agencies, and women, particularly in domestic violence situations, are not made safer by more guns being present. And certainly, really, it's hard to say that anyone is made safer, human beings, by assault weapons or high-capacity magazines being armed with those. So certainly not making any blanket statements, but relying on the facts.
All right. Senator Dela Cruz has a follow-up. Senator Dela Cruz?
Thank you, Chairman. So I'm looking here at some FBI data for Rhode Island for 2019, because the 2020 is not available. And it says here that Rhode Island had 25, pulling this up here, 25 total murders in the state of Rhode Island. So I'm just, I know that a lot of statistics have been thrown around today, and how dangerous firearms are, and how it's a pandemic and a health crisis, all sorts of claims. But I just don't see it. So any statistics that are coming out, I would like to know, are they from a partisan group? Are they from Moms Demand Action or Everytown? Are they from the NRA? Or are they FBI data, CDC data? Because that's the data I'm looking for. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
And also
Senator.
thinking about domestic violence, as I specifically said, not just murders.
Thank you very
We should
much.
look
You
at
have a
those
nice
numbers.
evening.
Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Would you please state your name, the town that you're from? You have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Hi, thank you, Senators, for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Jacob Breyer, and I'm testifying from Barrington. I speak tonight in support of the following bills that can help ease suffering in our communities. Bill 73, because guns don't belong in schools. Bill 414, because shooting many lethal bullets nonstop at defenseless people or law enforcement officers shouldn't be so easy. Bill 415, because assault weapons go beyond civilians' needs. Bill 416, because we must try to ensure that only responsible, permitted adults can purchase guns, and that people who are ineligible to possess firearms do not have legal or easy means of obtaining guns. Bill 417, because we deserve freedom from fear, intimidation, and public displays of aggression. And I adamantly oppose Bill 522, because Rhode Island's law enforcement and legal system should not outsource our safety decisions to other states. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Would you please state your name, the town that you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Good evening. My name is Sydney Duncan, and I live in Barrington, Rhode Island, which is in Senator Cassar's district. I am calling to urge this committee to support important gun safety legislation, including bills to regulate assault weapons, limit high-capacity magazines, keep guns out of K-12 schools, prohibit straw purchasing, and prohibit the open carry of loaded rifles and shotguns in public. The issue of gun safety is important to me because as a student and general Rhode Island resident, I shouldn't have to wonder how many dangerous people are legally able to own a small shotgun, nevertheless a military-grade weapon. I shouldn't have to turn on the news and find out that there has been yet another shooting. I shouldn't have to fear for my life. What hurts the most about all of this pain, this fear, and this death that gun violence brings is that it is 100% preventable. These bills are what can prevent it. I see a future where I don't have to wonder, where I don't have to fear, right on the horizon. We're so close, but we need your help. Please pass these bills to the floor for a vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your testimony. You have a nice evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Good
Jacob,
evening,
you
welcome
need
to
to
the
take some
committee.
notes.
Would you please state your name, the town that you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Pam Lauria, and I live in Senator Coyne's district in Barrington. I'm calling to urge this committee to pass the critical gun safety bills that will regulate assault weapons, limit high-capacity magazines, prohibit guns in schools and straw purchases, and open carry of long guns in public. These gun safety bills are important to me because I have witnessed too many consequences of gun violence. As a trauma nurse for 5 years, I saw all types of gun violence: gang violence, intimate partner violence, angry neighbor violence, and suicide. So many suicides. As a nurse practitioner, I know the research. America doesn't have more mental illness or impulsive anger episodes. We have more access to high-impact, ultra-lethal guns. Gun violence is a critical public health crisis that we have ignored for too long. If there is anything that the past year has shown, it is that it is imperative that we come together to address public health issues with every tool we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your testimony. You have a nice evening. Good evening, welcome to the committee. Would you please state your name, the town that you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Yes, good evening. My name is Jason Phillips, and I live in Barrington, Rhode Island. I served for 22 years as an officer in the military, including deployments to Afghanistan, Gitmo, Cuba, and a forward deployed amphibious ship. I am calling to support Senate Bill 415 to ban assault weapons in Rhode Island. Representative Jason Crow of Colorado was an Army Ranger. My stance on assault weapons is completely aligned with his. On 26 March, Representative Crow said, "Don't be fooled by the gun lobby. Weapons of war have no place in our communities." In the military, we say that leaders do not simply identify problems, leaders come up with solutions. Politicians should not simply dismiss, undermine, or gaslight the concerns of citizens of Rhode Island and the broader United States regarding gun violence. I recommend framing weapons into 4 easy categories: weapons to hunt, weapons for marksmanship, weapons for self-defense, and offensive weapons. Any offensive weapons should not be in the hands of civilians and should be banned. Limiting weapons to only those used for hunting, marksmanship, and self-defense is not violating the Second Amendment.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Senator Rogers has a question. Senator Rogers.
Thank you, Chair. A question, the fourth one, weapons of offense. So where would they be allowed?
I don't think that offensive weapons should be in the hands of civilians. And I would categorize offensive weapons as assault weapons, and I would categorize the AR-15 as an assault weapon.
And why would you? So there are many guns out there like the AR-15, but we're not going. You don't want to ban them. So what is an assault weapon? Just because that AR-15 is the most popularly sold long rifle in the United States, but there are mini 14s similar to that. And
so let me answer that. So again, I'm not talking about violating the Second Amendment. I'm talking about getting
that's your
weapons
opinion.
of war. Right.
That is your opinion.
Okay. So Senator Rogers, there is an active duty military gun enthusiast with an amazing YouTube channel. And he does many analyses of different types of weapons. He ran the M4, which is what I carried in Afghanistan, through a number of drills in comparison to the AR-15. In his drills, which you could look up, again, the name is Giermann Thumb on YouTube. With the M4, he was able to shoot 2 rounds into 3 targets in 1.68 seconds. With the AR-15, he was able to put 2 rounds in 3 targets in 1.2 1.29 seconds.
So why is it the military using the AR-15?
Don't ask those types of questions because you know that the M4
we're going to keep it. I'll let the dialogue. Let me stop you both. Let me stop you both. I'll let the dialogue go, and we'll be as polite as we can be. But this isn't personal, so it's not about don't asking those kind of questions. It's okay. It's a polite dialogue. I think everybody was learning from it. Go ahead. You can answer his question. Go ahead.
Okay. So a weapon which could put 2 rounds into 3 people in 1.29 seconds, I would consider an offensive weapon and should not be in the hands of a civilian.
Well, in response to that,
when Garen Thumb was moving and hiding behind barricades in this YouTube video, and again, he's an active duty military gun enthusiast, he was able to put rounds into 3 different targets while moving around using the M4 in 13.7 seconds. With the AR-15,
let
he was able to do so.
We're going to have to be moving on. Senator Rogers.
11.93 seconds.
Okay. Senator Rogers.
So back to my original question, the AR-15 versus the M4, which the military uses. Why ain't the military using the AR-15 if it's so much more dramatically powerful and better than the M4? What does the military know that we don't know of this guy on YouTube?
That's not the question that we're talking about tonight.
No,
we're talking about whether we should ban assault weapons.
No, let me stop you, Senator. Let me stop you. Let me stop you. I'm going to stop you. Really, the testimony is about everybody getting the chance to come and speak your piece about what your position is, pro or con. But if the senator asks you a question and you can't answer it or don't want to answer it, that's fine. But then we're going to move on. It's not about saying you don't want the question. So, do you want to answer the senator's question?
Okay. So, look, the M4 has a number of specifications which are specific to the military, but the AR-15 has been designed. Okay, Senator Rogers.
That's okay. We're going to move on with the we're going to go on to the next witness. Thank you very much. Thank you for your testimony. He's done. Thank you very much. And to anyone out there, we'll let the debate go on, but please, if any senator asks you a question, please answer the question if you can. If you can't, that's fine, and then we'll see how well we can keep the dialogue going, and then we'll move on. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town that you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to answer the question. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair and the members. My name is Jerry Bellaire. I reside in Warren. My senator is Walter Phelak. I'm the vice president and a founding member of Massachusetts-based Stop Handgun Violence and a founding member of the Rhode Island Coalition Against Gun Violence. I'm also a lifelong gun owner. I'm testifying in support of Bills 73, 406, 414, 415, 416, and 417. All of this legislation has been in effect for 2 decades in Mass, and were signed into law by Republican governors Cellucci and Romney. None violate the Second Amendment. As a result, Massachusetts has the lowest gun fatality rate of any state nationwide. Gun violence in Rhode Island, on the other hand, has been steadily increasing and is now greater than the heavily industrialized neighbors of Massachusetts, New York, and New Jersey. We limit the number of rounds and the types of guns for hunting both ducks and deer. Maximum of 3 rounds and 5 rounds respectively.
Which one are we
in order to protect their populations, let's provide the same protection to our citizens. I urge you to report these bills out of the floor, vote, and thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We'll move on to our next witness, please. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Good evening. My name is Sue Larson, and I live in Cumberland, Rhode Island, which is Senator Ryan Pearson's district. I urge this committee to support this package of critical gun safety bills, supported by so many Rhode Islanders, including the Attorney General, the Secretary of State, and many others. I've submitted my written testimony with the detailed bill numbers. I want to focus on my support of S73 this evening because the issue of gun safety in schools is important to me as a Rhode Islander and as a high school educator. I know that guns have no place in supportive learning communities for our children. More guns do not make our students safer. Rhode Island is one of only a few states that still have laws permitting guns onto K-12 school grounds. And it is time, well past time, that we protected our students' right to learn in peace and safety. These gun safety bills are both reasonable and, importantly, constitutional. And I urge this committee to pass these bills to the floor for a vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next witness, please. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Hi, my name is Amy Herlihy. I'm from Barrington, and I'm a volunteer who's here on behalf of the Rhode Island chapter of Mom Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. I'm a mother, a speech-language pathologist for a local school department, and a constituent of Senator Coyne. First, I urge this committee to support life-saving gun safety legislation that's being heard tonight, including bills to regulate assault weapons, limit high-capacity magazines, keep guns out of K-12 schools, prohibit straw purchasing, and prohibit open carry of loaded rifles and shotguns in public. Knowing that someone could be carrying a concealed loaded weapon into my children's school or my school, places that should be havens of safety and learning, is horrifying. Guns have no place in our schools because children deserve to be safe. I strongly support these gun safety bills, and now is the time to move them to the Senate floor for a vote.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your testimony. Next witness, please. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
My name is Willisbilderbach, and I live in Warren, Rhode Island. I'm the vice chair of the Rhode Island Coalition Against Gun Violence. I want to thank you for having me here tonight. We've been working on many of these bills for the past 8 years, and I know that we have a lot of support for them throughout the state. You can see that through the polling that we've done, and I know that there's strong support for these bills within the Senate itself. We very much want to see these bills finally get a vote on the floor of the Senate, and we hope that you will pass them out of committee. And that's about all that I have to say tonight. And I do thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next witness, please. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
I am Nancy Russo from Cranston. I am in favor of all 5 gun safety bills, but I would like to address the regulation of assault weapons. Columbine, Virginia Tech, Santa Fe, Stoneman Douglas, Sandy Hook, Knoxville High School right now during this hearing, Cranston High School West. Could my alma mater be next? When I went to school in the 1970s, I felt safe. Children who go to those same schools now must hold drills and be prepared for gunfire at any time. We have failed as a society when schools that were safe just 40 years ago are now unsafe. What kind of future are we building when our children grow up under the collective trauma of school shootings and active shooter drills? Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey have all removed assault weapons from their communities. What is Rhode Island waiting for? Do we want to join that list? As Thomas Paine wrote, a government which cannot preserve the peace is no government at all, from his essay titled, most appropriately, Common Sense.
Thank you for your testimony this evening. Next witness, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for your patience and diligence tonight. My name is Jean Bowen. I live in Wakefield, and I'm calling in to support the gun safety bills proposed that will regulate assault rifles limit capacity magazines, keep guns out of K through 13 schools, and prohibit straw purchases. I am a volunteer for Safer Communities for Justice and Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in Rhode Island. My family has owned guns for hunting and sport shooting for generations. We have had shotguns, rifles, and revolvers safely stored in our homes. I believe that the proposed legislation will not take weapons away from Rhode Island gun owners who are properly trained, registered, and store their guns. Gun safety, storage, and size of weapons and ammunition is my primary concern. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony this evening. Next witness, please. Welcome to the committee. Good evening. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Hello, my name is Alice Adler, and I live in Jamestown, which is Senator Ewer's district. I'm calling to urge this committee to support important gun safety legislation, including bills to regulate assault weapons, limit high-capacity magazines, keep guns out of K-12 schools, prohibit straw purchasing, and prohibit the open carry of loaded rifles and shotguns in public. The issue of gun safety is important to me because I am both a mother and the wife of a 32-year Army infantry veteran. We understand and respect guns in our home and understand the importance of responsible gun ownership. Before living in Rhode Island, we lived in El Paso, Texas, only a couple miles away from the Walmart that was the site of the mass shooting there. After the shooting, my then 10-year-old daughter messaged her friends in El Paso to see if they were still alive. This country has a shockingly high rate of gun deaths. Not any one of us wants our country to be like this. As a family, we have spent the past several decades working for our country, and we want to do all we can to make it a safer place for all Americans. You can help make Rhode Island safer for everyone. Please pass these bills to the floor for a vote. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony this evening. Next witness, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Thank you, Senator. My name is Sarah Kelly Palmer, and I live in North Kingstown in Senator Valverde's district. I am calling to strongly urge this committee to support the crucial gun safety legislation, including bills to regulate assault weapons, limit high-capacity magazines, prohibit straw purchasing, prohibit the open carry of loaded rifles and shotguns in public, and most of all, keeping guns out of K through 12 schools. I'm a licensed clinical social worker specializing in child trauma. I have seen firsthand the devastating impact that gun violence has on children, families, and communities. It is a public health crisis. I am too often called upon by schools and the media to give advice to parents and educators about how to talk to children about yet another mass or school shooting. It is becoming a regular part of my job. It has been 9 years since Sandy Hook, and we are still here talking about banning assault weapons. As a mother, I want my son to attend schools free from guns. I want him to feel safe going to school each day, knowing that the adults around him are not carrying lethal weapons. Guns in schools do not make students safer. I urge you to please pass these bills to the floor for a vote. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony this evening. Next witness, please. Next witness. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Graham, and I'm in Cranston, Rhode Island. I'm calling to urge this committee to support important gun safety legislation, including bills to regulate assault weapons, limit high-capacity magazines, keep guns out of K-12 schools, prohibit straw purchasing, and prohibit the open carry of loaded rifles and shotguns in public. So this is important to me because of the constant, completely preventable fatalities and injuries due to unsecured guns, as well as guns acquired through loopholes. My goal, I'm not an anti-gun person. I'm not looking to take, I don't want guns taken away from law-abiding citizens. This is about improving a flawed system. The polls show what Rhode Islanders want. This is something that we want to do. The tremendous and continuous statistics across the country showing that we are going to be behind on this. We don't need to. We shouldn't be waiting until it happens. We should be looking at common sense gun laws now.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We appreciate it. Next witness. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Good evening, Chair Coyne and the members of the Senate Judiciary Committee. My name is Jessica Manick. I live in Cranston in Senator Joshua Miller's district. As a member and the treasurer of the Rhode Island chapter of the National Organization for Women, I urge you to pass the critical gun legislation pending before you to keep women safe from gun violence. I support the following 6 bills that will prohibit straw purchasing and open carry of loaded long guns, secure storage of firearms, prevent guns from being on school grounds, and prohibit and regulate high-capacity magazines and assault weapons. Opponents of these sensible bills have claimed that they would somehow put women in danger. Nothing can be further from the truth. Gun violence prevention is a feminist issue. For example, many victims of domestic violence are also victims of gun violence. Access to a gun in a domestic violence situation makes it 5 times more likely that women will be killed. These common sense bills will help keep women safe from gun violence, so please move to bring them to the floor for a vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next witness, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Good evening. My name is Sydney Monstream-Klaas, and I live in Barrington, which is Senator Coyne's district. I urge this committee to support Attorney General Norona's package of life-saving gun safety legislation bills, including S-73, 129, 406, 414, 415, 416, 417, and 419. I urge you to pass these bills out of committee and to bring them to the floor for a vote to help protect Rhode Islanders and their families. I have a couple facts here. One is that high-capacity magazines result in twice as many fatalities compared to mass shootings that do not involve high-capacity magazines, and that's from the Giffords Law Center. And nearly 40% of crime guns used in serious violent crimes, including murders of law enforcement officers, are equipped with high-capacity magazines, and that's from the Journal of Urban Health. As a family survivor of gun violence, preventing all gun violence, including deaths, injuries, and the unbearable grief that accompanies loss, is a priority for me. Please move these bills to the floor for debate and votes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next witness, please. Welcome to the committee this evening. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
My name is Ramsey Davis from Cranston. Hannah Gallo is my senator. I am a Marine Corps veteran of the Vietnam War. I carried an M16 assault rifle for months. I experienced the devastating firepower of these weapons upon my fellow Marines, medics, and the Vietnamese. These images haunt me 50 years later. Semi-automatic assault weapons with unlimited rounds of deadly steel cased ammunition do not belong in the hands of civilians. There is no need for such a weapon other than military purposes. Many of our surrounding states have banned assault weapons. Rhode Island should do the same. Machine guns have been banned successfully for decades and are not on our streets. From yesterday's Sunday New York Times, page 3, quote, over the past decade, roughly 30,000 children and teenagers in America have been killed by gunfire. My wife and I are retired teachers with over 70 years of experience between us. Firearms should not be allowed on school property by civilians unless properly locked in a vehicle as provided by this legislation. The Second Amendment only provides that an individual has a right to own and maintain a gun at home for personal protection.
Thank you for your testimony. I do have a question by Senator De La Cruz. Senator?
I don't know if I misheard, but did the gentleman that called and say that there were 30,000 deaths last year as a result of a school shooting?
No.
Or shootings?
I'm quoting from the New York Times, the Sunday New York Times, it's last Sunday on page 3, quote, over the past decade, the last 10 years, roughly 30,000 children and teenagers in America have been killed by gunfire. It's in an article in the New York Times.
Great, but we're legislating Rhode Island, this isn't the U.S. Senate, this is the Rhode Island Senate, just letting you know.
Thank you, and I think he was just referring to...
Rhode Island since the early 70s. That's why we have to take it on state by state. It's not being dealt with at the national level. We need to deal with it locally, as many states around us have.
Thank you for your testimony. Next witness, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Good evening. My name is Liz Cochio, and I live in Cranston in Senator Miller's district. I strongly support the gun safety bills that are being discussed today, including the bills to prohibit high-capacity magazines, regulate assault weapons, keep guns out of our schools, prohibit open carry of loaded long guns in public places, and prohibit straw purchasing. As a nurse working at Rhode Island Hospital, I see the aftermath of patients and families who've experienced gun violence. The lives of all of these people will never be the same. As a nurse and as a mother, I urge you to pass the critical gun safety legislation pending that will combat our public health crisis of gun violence in our state. Please pass these important bills and bring them to the floor for a vote this session. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next witness, please. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Okay, my name is Elizabeth Reardon. I live in East Greenwich, Rhode Island. My senator is Bridget Valverde. I'm calling to urge this committee to support important gun safety legislation, including the bills to regulate assault weapons, limit high-capacity magazines, keep guns out of the K-12 schools, prohibit straw purchasing, and prohibit the open carry of loaded rifles and shotguns in public. The issue of gun safety is important for me because life is sacred and accidents happen. And most of all, shooting a person never ends a conflict. It just gets more violence. So I urge you to pass these bills to the floor for a vote. Thank you. For listening.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for your testimony. Next witness, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Good evening. My name is Valerie Reischuk. I live in Providence in Senator Golden's district. The issue of gun safety is important to me because I am a retired Ohio school teacher. I moved to Rhode Island in 2016. I love it here. And I believe that schools should be gun-free zones. I'm a citizen who believes we can do more to shield Rhode Islanders from weapons which were designed to kill humans at velocity. I urge the committee to support gun safety legislation, including bills to regulate assault weapons, limit high-capacity magazines, keep guns out of K-12 schools, prohibit straw purchasing, and prohibit open carry of loaded rifles and shotguns in public. Please pass these bills to the floor for a vote. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next witness, please. Do we have the next witness on? We're having some technical difficulty. Just a minute, please.
Madam Chair?
Yes. Senator.
While we got the issue with technical difficulties, I just want to point out, I've been hearing a lot of testimony regarding that Rhode Island has one of the worst firearm mortality by state. One witness had said that Massachusetts was like the safest, but I looked at a chart that was just published in 2019 by the CDC, and Rhode Island ranks 46th, meaning one of the top 5 states as being the safest at 4.6, while the worst state is 24.4. This is facts, and I just, again, want to just say that when the witnesses do testify, please state and not something that they think is not true. So this is a true statement from the CDC that ranks Rhode Island as the 5th safest state in the country regarding firearm mortality.
Thank you. You can provide that data to the committee upon conclusion of this hearing. Thank you. We have the next witness up.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Next witness. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Good evening, members of the Senate. My name is Dr. Andrew Saul. I'm a family physician and a health policy advocate from Barrington. While I'm glad to be a constituent of Senator Coyne, I'm honored to serve the residents of the City of Providence and the citizens of Rhode Island. 39,000 Americans die every year from gun violence. Half of those deaths are suicide. And as you've heard from many health professionals this evening, the data doesn't lie. Gun violence is a public health crisis. I join with the American Public Health Association, the American Academy of Family Physicians, and a dozen other medical societies and law enforcement groups when I ask that the legislature enact common sense regulations to limit high-capacity clips in military-grade weapons. Conversely, bills allegedly to make schools safer by allowing guns inside and bills to allow in other states concealed weapon permit to supersede our own defy reason and waive our responsibility to care for our own. On behalf of my patients, my children, my community, and our state, I encourage the committee to pass the gun sense bills to the floor. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your testimony. I do have a question from Senator De La Cruz for you.
So here, I keep hearing this term, it's a public health crisis. It's a public health crisis. But here's the thing. I'm looking at the CDC data here, and let's just compare COVID numbers that happen to be an actual public health crisis. 59.9 per 100,000 people deaths. Okay. Now, same CDC data, the same chart here says. Let's compare that to the firearms death rate. 4.6 to every 100,000. So 4.6 to 59.9%. One is an actual public health crisis. The other one is a perceived health crisis based on someone's ideology. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to respond, Dr. Saul?
It's a question of ideology. I'm looking at statistics the same as you, and while I may not be a perfect statistician, I do know public health. And in this state and in other places, at times you have to balance the individual rights of one against the greater public good of the many.
Thank you,
Senator.
Thank you very much. And for committee members, we haven't even gotten through half of the witnesses this evening. I'll allow one question for each witness so that we can move on and give everybody an even and fair opportunity to make a statement. Next witness, please. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Okay, good evening. Hope everyone's still awake. My name is William Adler. I live in Jamestown, Rhode Island, which is Senator Ewer's district. I'm speaking with you to urge the committee to support gun safety legislation, including bills to regulate assault weapons and to keep guns out of K-12 schools, prohibit straw purchasing, and also to prohibit carrying of loaded rifles and shotguns in public. The issue of gun safety is important to me because as a citizen, a career soldier, and a gun owner myself, I recognize the responsibilities of responsible gun ownership and the risks that under-regulation poses to public safety and civic stability. I've owned rifles, shotguns, and pistols for over 20 years myself, and as a career infantry officer in the U.S. Army, my job involved the use of military-grade weapons on a regular basis. I've also lived in four corners of the United States and in the middle, and and I've resided overseas for 9 of my 26 years in military service. And I can tell you the societies where gun ownership is regulated, not prohibited, but controlled, people are generally safer from lethal violence. One lesson I learned from my time in places like Bosnia, Kosovo, Iraq, and Afghanistan is that easy-to-access weapons and under regulation do not enhance public safety.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We appreciate it this evening, but we must move on to our next witness.
Yep.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Hi, my name is Linda Finn. I am the executive director and one of the founding board members of the Rhode Island Coalition Against Gun Violence. I live in Middletown. In 2020, in Rhode Island, homicides were up 87%. The legislation that is being proposed tonight by the Attorney General and the other legislators isn't about us versus them. This is legislation that is supported by 50 organizations, many of whom you've already heard from tonight, medical organizations, advocacy groups, education groups, faith communities, the Principals Association, the Superintendents Association, the AFT Union, goes on and on and on. Additionally, the Rhode Island Medical Society signed on to support these bills this year as well. Why? Because the public policy proposals have been vetted using data and are evidence-based and supported by the American Medical Association. Finally, I've sent the committee a hard copy of a statewide poll that was done in 2020. It wasn't a push poll, as Senator Rogers has mischaracterized. It was a poll that was done that interviewed 600 Rhode Islanders. 30% of the respondents who took the poll were actually
Thank you, Linda.
taken an NRA safety cause.
Your time has expired. Thank you very much. And I do have a question from Senator Rogers.
Sure.
Go ahead, Senator.
600 people were polled, Mr. Finn. Could you tell me about how many residents live in the state of Rhode Island?
Yeah, there's a million that live in. Yep, there's a million that live in Rhode Island, and a 600 number unit. A 600 number unit is what is normally characterized by a poll. Even a nationwide poll usually polls 1,000 people when they get their results.
Thank you, Linda. We must move on to our next witness, please. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Thank you. My name is Dave Larson, resident of Cumberland, Senator Pearson, District 19. I'm retired military. I've lived in Rhode Island since '87. Regarding concealed carry, 3 proposed bills appear to expand concealed carry in Rhode Island or establish unneeded reciprocity. Current regulations are sufficient to provide for suitable concealed carry, so I oppose Senate Bills 0507, 0509, and 0522. Regarding school security, I oppose Senate Bill 0456, which would establish a statewide school security committee, not subject to open meeting or public information rules. This committee is supposed to facilitate the providing of armed security personnel in K through 12 schools. Pushing armed security is a bad idea. Existing law is satisfactory, so I oppose 0456 as well. Finally, I support the regulation of large capacity magazines and assault weapons. Proposed bills 414 and 415 will help eliminate contributing factors that lead to mass shooting and casualty incidents. The proposed legislation will save lives. I support 414, 415. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. I appreciate it. Next witness, please. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
My name is Steve Schimel. I live in South Kingstown. I live in South Kingstown is represented by Susan Siskowski in Rhode Island State Senate. I'm calling to urge the committee to support the important gun safety legislation, including bills to regulate assault weapons, limit high-capacity magazines, and keep out K-12 schools and prohibit straw purchasing, and to prohibit the open carry of loaded rifles and shotguns in public. This gun safety is important to me, however, because all fair-minded citizens I want to keep out of the committee safe and secure. In fulfilling that goal, I also want those citizens who wish to participate in lawful hunting and sport show fishing be able to do so. I am a Vietnam veteran. I'm a gun owner who knows the harm that assault weapons can do. These weapons do not belong in the hands of average citizens, and certainly not in the hands of those who have mental illness.
Thank you very much for your testimony, and thank you for your service to our country. Next witness, please. Good evening. Welcome to our committee this evening. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Hi, good evening. My name is Paul Giermann, and I live in Sunderstown, Rhode Island, which is Senator DeMario's district. I'm calling to urge this committee to support important gun safety legislation, including bills to regulate assault weapons. Also to limit high-capacity magazines, keep guns out of K-12 schools, prohibit straw purchasing, and prohibit the open carry of loaded rifles and shotguns in public. The issue of gun safety is important to me. We see too many gun-related tragedies already, and gun violence is a public health crisis and needs attention right now. So I'm urging to pass these bills to the floor for a vote.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next witness, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
All right. My name is Teresa Schimel. I live in South Kingstown, Rhode Island, which is Senator Sosnowski's district. And I'm calling to urge the committee to support important gun safety legislation, including the bills to regulate assault weapons, limit high-capacity magazines, keep the guns out of K-12 schools, and prohibit straw purchasing, as well as prohibiting open carry of loaded rifles and shotguns in public. The issue of gun safety is very important to me because I am a mother, a grandmother, a former educator, and concerned citizen. I believe gun violence is an epidemic in our country, and that the legislators must pass common-sense gun laws to make our communities safer. Please pass these bills to the floor for a vote.
Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for your testimony this evening. Next witness, please. Welcome to the committee this evening. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Hi, this is Pam Boileau. I'm from North Kingstown, Rhode Island, and I wanted to support the bill that would address having guns in schools. My children have gone through the North Kingstown school system, and early on when they were in kindergarten, I experienced the drills that they had to do in case there was, a gun violence, someone coming into the school. And it really struck with me how kind of traumatizing that was to the children. And I thought it just didn't seem right that they should have to go through this. So I just want to say that I'm very much in favor of the bills that would prevent schools being on guns being on school grounds, and the other bills that are before the committee. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony this evening. Next witness, please. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may proceed.
Hi, my name is Barry Dollinger. I am the president of the board of Rabbis of Greater Rhode Island. I live in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Thank you for your time. I just want to speak for myself and also on behalf of the Board of Rabbis in encouraging the committee to support common sense legislation, the several bills before you that preserve and guard life. I will say, on 3 occasions as a pulpit rabbi, I have come face to face with a gun. On one occasion, an angry congregant going through a divorce. On another, someone unhappy about a political stand I took. And on another, someone with mental health issues who was upset On all three occasions, people came into synagogue office hours and pointed firearms, in two cases, firearms that would be banned by these bills, at me. I know that my experience is comparable to other clergy and people in the state. We don't want to have to risk our lives to serve the people of Rhode Island. This doesn't give liberty. It's not about liberty, it's tyranny.
Thank you for your time has expired. Thank you very much for your testimony. May I have the next witness, please? Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
My name is Rabbi Irvin M. Wise. I live in Barrington. And I'm just saying good evening and thank you for these efforts you're making. And I am calling to urge this committee strongly, unequivocally, passionately to support important gun safety legislation, including bills to regulate assault weapons, limit high-capacity magazines, keep guns out of K-12 schools, and prohibit straw purchasing and prohibit open carry of loaded rifles and shotguns in public. And the issue of gun safety is important to me because it's, to me, really part of the responsibility we have as a society, not to create any situations that can even potentially endanger anyone, and also to protect the Second Amendment, but the Second Amendment doesn't necessarily, in any approximation, allow for all these guns of mass destruction. So please pass these bills to the floor for a vote. I am indebted to you for doing so.
And thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your testimony this evening. We must move on to our next witness. Thank you again. Committee, stand by for 1 minute. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Could you please state your name, the town you are from? You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
I'm the Reverend Eugene Dislovsky. I live in Cranston. I'm a church pastor and president of the Rhode Island State Council of Churches. I support the bills that take measures to prevent gun violence and the tragic loss of life. Military-style assault weapons have no place in the neighborhoods and on the streets of Rhode Island. The destruction that these weapons inflict on our bodies is a grave and substantial thing. Limiting magazine capacities is a common-sense measure. Stopping straw purchases should help keep guns out of the hands of irresponsible people. Keeping firearms out of our schools, and more importantly, requiring safe storage protects our children. We firmly believe that unchecked gun violence must end, And these common sense measures will help Rhode Island be safer. Thank you.
Okay, I'm calling Victoria.
Stand by. I'm sorry, you didn't hear me. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Hi, my name is Julia. I'm from Barrington, and I'm calling in support of the Attorney General's gun safety legislation. Much of what I wanted to say tonight has already been said, but I did want to specifically focus on the bills regarding the concealed carry on school grounds and the assault weapons ban. So from what I could find, there seems little evidence that bringing more guns onto school grounds actually provides much benefit. Oftentimes it means that active shooters and other people who are committing gun violence were apprehended by police or they end up committing suicide. In regard to the assault weapons, I believe that as the Supreme Court has ruled, the Second Amendment is not absolute and a right to bear arms must be regulated in order to maintain a balance between individual freedoms and safety to the general public. I don't believe that these bills are the only solution, but I do believe that they're great steps towards addressing this ongoing crisis. And I urge the committee to bring a vote on these bills, and I look forward to more discourse on the root issues of why people turn to violence and crime in the first place.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for your testimony. Next witness, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Thank you for your patience. Could you please state your name, the town you are from? You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Coyne and members of the committee. My name is Nancy Benoit, and I live in Woonsocket. I believe we have a responsibility to do all that we can to limit the prevalence of military-style weapons on our streets. So I urge passage of Senate Bills 414, 415, 416, which will put limits on capacity and sale of assault weapons and strengthen the straw buyer legislation. I also support Senate Bill 406 on safe storage, keeping people, especially children, safe in their own homes. I am a retired high school teacher and taught for over 30 years. I am especially interested in seeing Senate Bill 73, prohibiting guns in schools, pass. Very few states allow people with concealed carry permits to have their guns in schools. Allowing concealed carry permit holders to carry their guns in schools will not make our schools safer. Please support these 5 bills and pass them out of committee so that they can be voted on the Senate floor. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We appreciate your testimony. Next witness, please. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Greetings, Chair Coyne and members of the Judiciary Committee. My name is Rebecca Zook, and I live in Cranston, where I am represented by Senator Josh Miller. As member of the Rhode Island chapter of the National Organization of Women and part of their executive board, I urge you to pass this critical gun safety legislation that will help keep women safe from gun violence in Rhode Island. I support the following 6 bills: prohibiting straw gun purchasing, safely storing firearms, prohibiting open carry of loaded long guns, preventing guns from being on school grounds, and prohibiting and regulating high-capacity magazines and assault weapons. I believe violence prevention is a feminist issue. Some people say women buy guns because they feel unsafe, perhaps from an intimate partner, but studies show that women who purchase guns sadly die by firearm homicide at twice the rates of women who did not. More guns in our communities do not keep anyone safe, especially women, plain and simple. By reducing the presence of a variety of illegal guns in our community by voting yes on these common sense bills, you have the power to keep all Rhode Islanders safer from gun violence. Please vote to bring these important bills to the floor for a vote this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next witness, please. Good evening. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for joining us. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Thank you. I'm Mary Warbeck from Saunderstown, Rhode Island, Senator DeMario's district. Two of my daughters teach elementary school and witness gun violence effects in families in communities every year. There are kids raised by grandmothers because parents are lost to guns. Kids witnessing family and friends killed by guns. A little boy telling of seeing a gun on a table in his home, his mom being threatened, hiding himself under a sink, afraid of dying because mom can't fit with him and he can't lock the door. Events like these mark kids, families, and communities for lifetimes. These are the stories my daughters, as teachers, hear from young children. Active shooter drills have kids silently hiding in closets, waiting to hear officers pounding on door after door. Kids can't separate real and pretend. As parents, we wouldn't play this game at home. We should make our communities safer by common sense legislation. Support Bill 73, 406, and 414 to 417. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your testimony this evening. Next witness, please. Good evening. Welcome to our committee. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Hi, my name is Saida, and I'm calling from Providence, Rhode Island. I am a survivor of domestic violence and a member of SOAR, Sisters Overcoming Abusive Relationships. I was 19 years old when I met the man who abused me. At the time, I was living on my own, and he was older, so I felt like he would look out for me and have my back. Nothing could be further away from my expectations. The abuse escalated soon after I moved in with him. He beat me every single day. I was afraid of him. He was so big, I knew he could kill me with his bare hands. I also knew he owned guns, and he had no problem using them if he had to. He would threaten to shoot and kill my family and I if I ever left or did something he didn't approve of. The fear was so great that leaving him was not even an option. One day, he locked me in the bathroom, picked me up, and threw me against the wall. As I pleaded with him not to beat me, he told me to get undressed. He then left the bathroom and returned with the gun. He pointed the gun at my head and chest and said over and over that he was going to kill me. For 1 hour, he kept me in the bathroom naked, yelling, threatening, and hitting me. That day, I really thought that I was going to die. However, it was
Thank
only
you
a
very
miracle
much for your testimony. I'm sorry that I have to cut you off right now. You're limited to 1 minute and 15 seconds, and I would encourage you to continue your testimony in writing. If you could provide that to the committee, we would really appreciate that, and I appreciate your patience in waiting to speak this evening.
Okay,
thank you. May I have the next witness, please? Good evening. Thank you for your patience. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Thank you very much. I will.
Do we have the caller on the line? May I ask? Oh, she dropped. We have somebody else? If you could, yes. Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Tony Moratini. I live in Bristol. I'm in Senator Coyne's district, and I'm speaking to you in favor of the bills to regulate assault weapons and prohibit high-capacity magazines, to prevent people from avoiding background checks, prohibit the open carry of loaded long guns, and to keep guns out of our schools. As a grandfather, knowing my 8-year-old granddaughter goes to school every day with the possibility she may not come home and practices active shooter drills the way we used to practice fire drills is unacceptable and horrifying. This isn't an unfounded fear. This year in the United States, we have suffered more than one shooting in a K-12 school every month. I'll say that again, one K-12 shooting every month. In fact, we just had one this afternoon in Knoxville around 3 o'clock. It's a matter of when, not if, this epidemic comes to Rhode Island. Please send these bills to the floor for a vote. Ours, our kids, and our grandkids' lives depend on it. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. I do have a question from Senator Rogers for you, Tony.
How you doing, Tony? Thanks for calling in this evening. It's been a long night. And again,
I can imagine.
Yeah, I want to point out that I'm not denying the shootings in school and criminals are going to be criminals, but I want to bring this back around that this bill would not affect criminals. This bill would affect concealed carry permit holders, and I could pretty much bet the farm, I do have a farm, that every one of those 5 shootings that you just talked to had absolutely nothing to do with a legally carrying concealed carry holder. So there has never been any concealed carry holder shooting up any school in the United States, and this is what that bill affects. It doesn't affect the 5 shootings that you mentioned. They're going to continue. This just affects law-abiding citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And
was that? I'm sorry. Excuse me. Was that a question?
No, I believe it was a comment.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much. Sure. Thank you very much, Tony.
All right.
Next witness, please. Good evening. Welcome to the Committee on Judiciary. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Hi, my name is Mary Hennessy. I'm from Providence. There were 3 different bills that I just wanted to address quickly. Senate Bill number 406. I'd like to respond by saying I'm a single woman who lives alone. I keep all my handguns unlocked in case somebody breaks in to hurt me. If a gun's locked up, it's going to add time, and that might allow somebody to injure me. Additionally, for Senate Bill number 415, I don't understand and can't support a bill that bans something as nebulous as assault weapons. I'd be allowed to keep my rifles under certain registration provisions, which isn't clear. I'd like to understand what makes something an assault weapon, and also for Bill 414, why there would be a capacity limit when that hasn't stopped any crimes in the past. And that is all I had to say.
Thank you very much for your testimony this evening. Next witness, please. Welcome to the committee. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Thank you, Lady Chairwoman. My name is Missy Devine, and I live in North Kingstown, Senator Mario's district. I am calling to urge this committee to support sensible gun legislation, including bills to regulate assault weapons, limit high-capacity magazines, keep guns out of K through 12 schools, prohibit straw purchasing, and prohibit open carry of loaded rifles and shotguns in public. The issue of gun safety is important to me because given the stress and increased mental health issues brought on by COVID and general stressors of life in general, we need these common sense stopgaps in Rhode Island law. To Senator Casada's point, it's crucial that the issue of prevention happens in Rhode Island. Let's keep it that way. If these new laws and bills help to keep one child, one person, or one student alive, it's worth tightening up the loopholes in our laws. Thank you, and please push these bills to the floor.
Thank you very much for your committee. Thank you for your testimony. Next witness, please. Welcome to the committee. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Ishiki Hendrickson, and I live in Providence, and I support gun safety legislation. More people with more access to guns does not make me feel safer. I don't know what issues have caused citizens to feel they need a gun and what issues will cause them to use it. But I believe easy access to guns make more people prone to violence. For rather than thinking twice before acting, carrying a gun makes it easier to intimidate and threaten, for some to act on macho bravado, and for violence to escalate rapidly. Their guns threaten my freedom to speak freely or to disagree. There are already too many guns in society. The more open carry, the more straw purchasing, the more assault weapons or high-capacity magazines, the more guns in school, the more my freedoms are limited. Please support gun violence prevention legislation in Rhode Island. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next witness, please. Welcome to the committee. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Hi, my name's Andrew Wright. I'm from Pawtucket. I don't remember the names of the specific bills. I'm afraid I'm caught a little unawares here. I do want to go on the record as officially opposing any new restrictions on firearm purchase, ownership, or accessories in the state of Rhode Island. Firearm laws always fall hardest on the most marginalized people in our state, and I can't stand to see it. We also have a very, very low rate of violent crime in Rhode Island, especially compared to similar states, even states that have much more draconian gun laws. So they clearly don't lower violent crime. They do hurt people, and I oppose them all. That's all I've got, I'm afraid. Thank you, members of the committee, for your time this evening.
Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Thank you for your testimony. Next witness, please. Welcome to the committee. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
This is Susan Aitchison from East Greenwich, Rhode Island. As a member of the Rhode Island chapter of the National Organization of Women now and a leader on their legislative committee, I urge you to pass the critical gun safety legislation pending before you that will help keep women safe from gun violence in Rhode Island. I support the following 6 bills before you that will prohibit straw gun purchasing, secure storage of firearms, prohibit open carry of loaded long guns, prevent guns from being on school grounds, and prohibit and regulate high-capacity magazines and assault weapons. Opponents of these sensible bills have claimed that they would somehow put women in danger. Nothing could be further from the truth. Gun violence prevention is a feminist issue. For example, many suggest that women buy guns to feel safer and protect themselves. However, women who purchase guns die by firearm homicide is twice the rates of women who did not. More guns do not keep anyone safe, especially women. By reducing the presence of a variety of illegal guns in our community, these common sense bills will help keep women safe from gun violence. Please vote to bring these important bills to the floor for a vote this session. Thank you.
I believe I have a question or a comment from Senator De La Cruz.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman Klein. I actually have a statement. This is a theme that I keep hearing, is that women somehow suffer more at the hands of a firearm if they purchase it for themselves. I have never heard so many women be so severe on their own sex to say that women are not intelligent enough to own a firearm and to know how to properly use one. This is what I'm hearing. That is actually sexist. That women are so unintelligent that they cannot know or learn how to use a firearm. That is unbelievable. I'm hearing this from women about women. Sad.
Thank you, Senator De La Cruz. Next witness, please. Welcome to the committee. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Good evening. My name is Grace Reed, and I live in Senator Anderson's district in Warwick, RI. I am calling to urge this committee to support important gun safety legislation that the Attorney General and the Campaign for Gun Violence Prevention RI is supporting, including bills to regulate assault weapons, limit high-capacity magazines, keep guns out of K-12 schools, and prohibit straw purchasing. I attended public schools in Warwick from 1st through 12th grade, and I remember a childhood riddled with news of mass shootings, lockdown drills, and desensitization to the ever-present threat of gun violence in America. Rhode Island is lagging behind many of our neighbors in the Northeast when it comes to laws that protect children, families, and communities from gun violence. In a state where the majority of citizens support common sense gun safety legislation, it is your responsibility as elected officials to bring these bills to the floor for a vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next witness, please. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is George Johnson, and I reside in Coventry within Senator Raptakis' district. I am retired from a 33-year career in state service. I'm calling to support Senate Bills 73, 406, 414, 415, and 416. Protecting public health, safety, and welfare is the most fundamental duty of government. The level of gun violence and mass shooting endemic in America begs for effective governmental action. In the wake of Sandy Hook, Parkland, and other mass shooting tragedies, I believe we all need to work together across many fronts to solve a very serious problem impacting the public health, safety, and welfare. That is the unfettered availability to the civilian population of highly dangerous and efficient killing firearms originally designed for warfare. I believe that allowing unlimited access to military-style assault weapons and high-capacity magazines and allowing firearm carry in public schools are not in the public interest. In this regard, I encourage your favorable reporting of Senate bills I cited earlier for floor vote. I thank the committee for the opportunity to present my views.
Thank you very much for your testimony this evening. Next witness, please. Good evening. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Yes, my name is Greg Decker, and I'm from North Smithfield. I would just like to say that I'm opposed to all these gun laws that are good, that you guys want to put into effect to go against law-abiding citizens that want to own guns. And I specifically oppose Bills 414 and 415, and I support 509 and 522. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony this evening. Next witness, please. Good evening. Welcome to our committee this evening. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Okay. My name is Carl Wagner. I'm from Gloucester, Rhode Island. I'm an Army veteran. I would like you guys to consider, you lawmakers consider, that you took an oath, as well as I did, in the Army to uphold and defend the Constitution. I'd like to speak on the gun control measures. The Second Amendment was put in place by our founding fathers as a guarantee that we, the people, would have the ability to protect ourselves and our country. In particular, I'd like to discuss the ban on the AR-15 rifle and those like it. Those tools are something that we can use to protect ourselves. Criminals do not follow gun laws, and I feel that banning these guns would make it difficult for the law-abiding citizens to protect themselves. In particular, I'd like to look at the event that recently happened in Foster. They caught on that Ring doorbell where people tried to break into a residence. That situation could have been a lot worse. They had an AR-style rifle. People are always going to have access to that. Criminals aren't willing to turn in their weapons. So by banning it, it makes it difficult for law-abiding citizens to protect themselves.
Thank you.
I see that. Yep.
Thank you very much for your testimony this evening. We must move on to the next witness, please. Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Todd Mello, Fall River, Massachusetts.
Proceed with your testimony.
I object to the changes in the laws that they're trying to impose on the gun control.
Okay. Thank you very much for your testimony. Next witness, please. Welcome to the committee. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Will Sanders. I live in Providence. I'm speaking tonight in opposition to S-415, 416, 73, and 129. S-415, the assault weapons ban, criminalizes the possession of a broad class of firearms used by law-abiding citizens throughout Rhode Island for recreation, hunting, and lawful personal protection. The law is written from a purely emotional response to the aesthetics of a class of firearms that Hollywood and others have demonized. But in spite of what the media portray, this class of firearms is actually rarely used in violent crime. The gun violence facts, I'm talking facts, from the latest FBI's own crime statistics database, are that of all homicides, less than 4% are attributed to long guns, and nearly all of the firearms banned by this bill are long guns. Not all of them. More people are murdered with fists and feet than with long guns. That means that even if you could eliminate 100% of these so-called assault weapons from the country, less than 4% of all homicides would be affected. And even with that, they wouldn't necessarily have been prevented, just changed. This law might feel good, but it has zero chance of curbing gun violence in a meaningful way, and the math makes it clear that there is no rational argument for why it would. Thank you so
for
much.
your testimony. Thank you for your testimony. It's been 1 minute and 15 seconds. I must move on to the next witness. Thank you for joining us. Good evening. Thank you for your patience. Welcome to the Committee on Judiciary. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Good evening, Chair Coyne and members of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Matthew Casey. I'm a resident of Cranston. Senator Miller is my state senator. I support the following bills: Senate 73, 414, 415, 416, and 417. I'm familiar with the various types of firearms and their uses, and have been around firearms most of my life. I'm originally from Texas. I've been in Rhode Island for about 10 years. I know these 5 proposed laws would not affect me as a responsible firearm owner, and I encourage the committee to advance these bills. For most of my life, I wouldn't have felt compelled to testify. However, after having lost a coworker to suicide by firearm and nearly losing another, I feel it necessary to support reasonable firearm restrictions. I support 414 and 415 and restricting items that can be force multipliers, which significantly increase the amount of harm one individual can do. Thank you.
Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Thank you. My name is Walt Roblard. I'm from Cranston, and I'm a 20-year veteran of the United States Army and the Rhode Island National Guard. I'm speaking against the proposed restrictions on high-capacity magazines. In 2013, the Indiana Sheriff's Department conducted a study of those trained and untrained on rapid reload, and they conducted a test fire of 30 rounds from a pistol. Whether using 2 15-round mags or 5 6-round mags, the pistol shooters fired the allotted number of rounds from the weapon in under 30 seconds. They also demonstrated the New York reload, which is multiple revolvers held in a waistband or pack, could be pulled out, utilized for a constant stream of fire, and then dropped or pocketed. They used 5.38 special revolvers, and the demonstrator shot 30 rounds in 18 seconds. If the idea of this legislation is to produce a lull in the shooting so that an individual has time to escape or fight back, the writers of the bill are missing the point. This bill does nothing to curb the ability of a criminal to do harm, and only hampers the prepared citizen trying to protect themselves by forcing additional magazine changes on them. I strongly urge you to vote against this bill and any that would restrict our rights. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next caller, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name and the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Hi, Glenn Reischuk, Coventry, and I oppose S73, S129, S406, S414, S415, S417, and S742. I'm not going to read all the other good bills. You know what they are. I'm just going to tell you that the 1994 assault weapons ban was such a failure that they didn't reinstate it in 2003. I've heard stuff to the contrary tonight. And, you know, all these gun control schemes are just self-perpetuating. What they do is there will be more mass shootings or whatever, or some kind of issue, and they'll come back and say, oh, geez, that didn't work. We're going to have to take more of your rights away. And guess what? You know, the founders meant us to have military-style weapons to defend against a tyrannical government. That's the bottom line. I know these people don't want to hear it, but that's the bottom line. It's not about duck hunting, okay?
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Evening. Next caller, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town that you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Hi, good evening. My name is David Jones from Middletown. I'm a certified pistol, rifle, and Utah concealed carry instructor. Along with others who have called tonight, I actually teach gun safety. I oppose any anti-gun bills that would restrict my rights. I support the pro-gun bills, simply put. I'm speaking now as the father of a son who survived the 2008 Northern Illinois University shooting. Schools are targets, like it or not. Gun-free schools are soft targets. Criminals prefer soft targets. Criminals also fear concealed carriers. Removing the possibility of concealed carriers from schools, and concealed is concealed. I have several teacher friends who carry while they teach. That's reducing a layer of protection from the kids. I have experience hardening targets, and what is proposed in this law is really counterproductive. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your testimony. You have a nice night. Next caller, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Good evening. My name is Boris Skurkovich. I live in Barrington in Central Queens District. I'm a pediatrician. I've been a pediatrician in Rhode Island for more than 30 years. My patients live mostly in the inner city, Providence. I urge you to support the gun control bills that were presented to you. It is time to move those bills from committee to the floor so senators who represent the whole of Rhode Island can debate this and vote on it. I've been involved in gun control for many, many years, and every year bills don't make it out of the committee, and they're left there for studying.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
You have a nice evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Next caller, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Jim Ream from North Kingstown. That's District 36, and Alana DiMario is my senator. Our Attorney General, Peter Nerona, has put forth a package of gun safety legislation that is comprehensive and needed. I know many of you share my gratitude for his far-sighted leadership. Unfortunately, the all guns, all the time lobbyists will talk about taking rights away from law-abiding citizens. Take this statement with a block of salt. Proposed gun safety measures are constitutional and were written to keep responsible gun owners accountable for their weapons. I support all Peter Nerona's priorities. Now, from about 5 hours ago, I have two clarifications from statements that were made earlier this evening. Somebody once said regarding zero concealed carry killers, the reason why there's no evidence of zero concealed carry killers is because there is no compulsive federal database of concealed carry incidents. In fact, some states even bar the release of such information. By the way, 24 law enforcement officers were killed by concealed carry permit holders.
It's been a minute and 15 seconds, so we're going to have to cut you off. Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
You have a nice evening. Next caller, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
My name is Wendy Plant, and I live in Warwick. As a member of the Rhode Island chapter of the National Organization of Women, I urge you to pass the critical gun safety legislation pending before you that will help protect women in Rhode Island from gun violence. I support the 6 bills before you that would prohibit straw buying, secure storage of firearms, prohibit open carry of loaded long guns, keep guns out of schools, and prohibit and regulate high capacity.
Thank you very much for your testimony. You have a nice evening. Next caller, please. Stand by if you would, please. We're getting someone on the line. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Thank you. My name is Craig Stevenson, Warwick, Rhode Island, and I oppose any gun opposition. It's gun laws don't help. All they do is stop the legal citizen from owning guns and participating with firearms. It doesn't do anything for criminals. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. You have a nice evening. Next caller, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
My name is Nathaniel Smelling. I'm from Cranston. I'm testifying in accordance to the bill that would be banning so-called assault weapons. I'm sure that many people have stated this already, but I believe that that's a politicized term which actually has very little effect on the efficacy of a weapon. Anything that has to do with cosmetic changes of a firearm is missing the point in how to effectively deal with it on a criminal level. And these sporting guns are very, very seldomly used in crimes, especially compared to things like handguns. I think that their ban is silly and ineffective, to be completely honest. Thank you kindly.
Thank you very much for your testimony. You have a nice evening.
You as well.
Thank you. Next caller, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify, and you may begin.
Good evening. My name is Alfred Arlen in Warwick. I'm a certified firearms instructor, and I'm opposed to S-129, opposed 414, 415. These bills do nothing to prevent firearm violence. The name of the game is to prevent violence, not necessarily ban the rights of law-abiding citizens and their possessions. The AG knows nothing about local citizens applying for permits. The local police chiefs do. Please keep it with the local police chiefs' decision. The magazine ban, the 10 rounds, that's a hideous law that does nothing to actually stop criminal activities and use of high-capacity magazines. The 10 rounds can be swapped out just as fast as, shooting a 30-round or 40-round magazine. No real difference in time. And the removable base plates, there's a lot wrong with that. I mean, that shouldn't even be an issue because there's so many technical discrepancies there. It's not even worth mentioning. Thank you very much for your testimony.
We appreciate it. It's been a minute and a half. We do need to move on. Thank you very much. You have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Yes, good evening. My name is Gary Monty. I am from Lincoln, Rhode Island. I speak with gratitude for all of you senators who have put in the evening hours to be able to hear testimony. I call you this evening in opposition to gun bills S0, 414, and 415 particularly. I'd like to believe, as some of those who've presented today, that we could legislate away evil. It's just not possible. In fact, what we find and have heard time and again is that what's being proposed will essentially restrict the rights of those who would defend against evil, the law-abiding gun owners. In similar ways, I too care about my children who attend school and know that the school shootings are a direct result of them being viewed as a soft target by those who would wish ill will to them. So in kind, I pray, yes, I do pray, and I keep in mind as well that in the same way that the story of Cain and Abel took place, God punished Cain and not the rock that Abel struck his brother with. Thank you for allowing me the time this evening.
Thank you very much for your testimony. You have a nice evening. Next caller, please. Good evening and welcome to the committee. Please state your name and the town that you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Thank you. I'm Stephen Lord from North Kingstown. I've heard a lot of nonsense tonight about how terrible assault weapons are, and I want to express my opposition to all of the gun restriction bills. Basically, if you look at the FBI data for Rhode Island from 2010 through 2019, a 10-year period, you find only 2 homicides from rifles. And so if you look at that and you run a few calculations, you can find out that you literally have 1 chance in several million of being killed with an assault rifle. Somehow everybody thinks that's a horrific problem, but literally you've got about 100 times more probability of being murdered by regular criminal action. So this is a problem that is so tiny that it barely exists.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
You have to look real hard to even see it.
Thank you for your testimony. Appreciate it. We have to cut you off because of the time limit. You have a very nice night.
So,
thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please. Good evening and welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
All right, it's David Lyon. I'm from Falster, Rhode Island, Gordon's district. The overwhelming number of gun deaths are from suicide. I got that from UC Davis. Yet, guns only account for about 50% of all suicides. That's from the Giffords Law Center. The WHO says that until COVID, the U.S. wasn't even in the top 25 in the world for suicide deaths. So saying that guns contribute to suicide is kind of misleading. The Parkland shooter used 10-round magazines. I got that from the Miami Herald. ABC News says that Sandy Hook shooter killed his mother in order to get her guns. What's going to stop somebody from doing that? Virginia Tech shooter used pistols, not assault weapons. I got that from CNN. People are pointing to examples that would not have been impacted by any of the legislation before us today. According to CNBC, we're 50th in infrastructure. Forbes says we're 50th in business. DrugAbuse.gov says we're 8th in opioid deaths. CDC says we're 5th in the total number of, 5th from the bottom in total number of gun deaths.
Thank you very much for your testimony. I do have to cut you off because we're at 1 minute and 15 seconds, but I do appreciate your testimony. Thanks for calling in. Have a nice night. Next caller, please.
Hello.
Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Would you please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Samantha Kivy, Cumberland. I support all gun rights and oppose new gun control bills. I'm a disabled nurse practitioner with MS and now have right hand weakness. When my husband isn't home, I worry about safety, especially if I'm upstairs and the house is broken into. If a woman is pointing a handgun at a hardened criminal, they assume that the woman is holding her husband's weapon. I'm more likely to need to shoot to stay safe should they choose to challenge me. Wielding an assault-style rifle carries much more authority, and as such, I would hope I would never have to need to shoot it at all. With that in mind, I bought a very small caliber so-called assault rifle, expecting its sheer intimidating looks will keep most criminals at bay without needing to use it. I'm not comfortable with the recoil of a pistol. A larger rifle is safer for me to handle in case of an emergency. Disarming people like me would not make us safer. Until you can take away weapons from criminals, all of them, including their sheer size, How many women are raped just because their attacker is bigger and stronger than them? Then the worst thing you can do would be to disarm law-abiding women.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We appreciate it. There's a question from a member of the committee, Senator Dela Cruz.
Sure.
I'll just make this quick because I know it's going to be a long night. But, ma'am, I appreciate you calling in and testifying. Can I ask you a question? We've heard a lot of testimony from other individuals, women too, that say that women, it's very dangerous for us. We don't know how to use a firearm. How do you feel about having heard testimony like that?
I feel that if people aren't comfortable, then they don't need to be carrying them. But for those of us who feel safer having one to protect themselves, I think it's important to have that ability. 911 takes 6 to 8 minutes to get to a place. And, what if I'm trapped upstairs? What if I'm, I don't want to be defenseless and threatened. I want to have the ability to have something to defend myself.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator Dela Cruz. You have a nice evening, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next caller, please. Good evening and welcome to the committee. Please state your name and the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify, and you may begin.
I'm Paul Paulbach Jr. from North Kingstown in Senator Valverde's district. I'm testifying tonight that I oppose all of the gun control bills. I noticed many of the people testifying in favor of gun control tonight said that it's about common sense. It seems that very few of them know exactly what they even want. Senators Rogers and De La Cruz have asked many times how they would define an assault rifle, but I've yet to hear a satisfactory answer. And many of the witnesses themselves have said they don't know, and they just defer to the experts. I just want to know how can they even say if these bills are common sense or that they'll even make anyone more safe if they are not sure what they're doing or what these features for guns even do. And one of the features would be a telescoping stock, which doesn't really do anything to make the gun more deadly or not. So I think they really need to do some more research to find this out. And that's all I have to say since I think I only have 15 seconds left. Thank you for your time and have a good night.
We do appreciate your testimony. Thank you very much. I have to cut you short because we're keeping it a minute 15 seconds. Thank you very much. We have a question from Senator Rogers. Senator
Rogers.
How you doing? Yeah, I agree, and I relate that back to the statement that, I've got a so-called assault rifle with the adjustable stock and a forward hand grip, and when me and my wife go out shooting, we can utilize the same gun and shoot it safely. Those are actually attachments that make it safe for different sized people to shoot the same gun, much like moving the seat on a car and a rearview mirror and a steering wheel. But these people, for some odd reason, they don't look at it that way. It's completely opposite of what they're portraying them. They're being portrayed as bad things when in reality, those things save lives by being able to be used by different sized people like me and my wife. So thank you for your testimony.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I respond to that real quick?
Yeah, quickly if you would, yes.
Yes, I think some of these people have their hearts in the right place, but I see when whoever's writing these or suggesting it to them, it's just that they're just trying to ban every single feature scattershot, and I think it's a bad faith effort to just ban as many guns as possible.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You have a good night.
You as well. Next caller, please. Good evening and welcome to the committee. Would you please state your name, your town, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify, and you may begin.
My name is Torian Zanella. I live in Westerly. Madam Chair Coyne and members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, I respectfully ask that you do not support Senate Bills S0415, S0414, S0406, and S0073. There is nothing common sense about these laws. S0415 and S0414 will turn law-abiding citizens that can legally own these firearms into felons. These laws will do nothing to curb gun violence. We have learned this in the past just from the '94 assault weapons ban. Criminals will still obtain firearms illegally and commit acts of violence regardless. These laws will only affect law-abiding citizens and will not stop criminals from engaging in violence. These laws would prevent a law-abiding person from defending themselves or others from criminals. S0415 would ban most semi-automatic firearms that are not weapons of war. They are being labeled assault style based purely on cosmetics. A collapsible stock barrel shroud or threaded barrel do not make a firearm any more dangerous. Our forefathers made it very clear that the right to keep and bear firearms shall not be infringed.
Seconds. Next caller, please. Thank you for your testimony. Good evening and welcome to the committee. Would you please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify, and you may begin.
All right. Thank you, Senate Judiciary Committee. My name is Brian Blake from Rumford, Rhode Island. I'm speaking in opposition to the gun control bills in S73, 129, 402, 406, 414, 415, 416, 417. I mean, a minute and 15 isn't much to say. I mean, there's a lot that I need to say, and I can't say it all. But I'm a father of 2 children. These laws put an extreme burden on a lot of lower socioeconomic families that have to come into compliance with these laws. And I have now lost my job due to COVID. My revenue stream has been cut off. Putting all these, magazine with removable floor plates and assault weapons to come into compliance with these, it's an extreme financial, burden that I would have to go through. And when the fact is, it doesn't stop crime. This just burdens me. And if it comes down to it, I mean, if sure you ban the assault weapons, somebody could just print it in their garage. They can print an assault weapon. You want to ban high-capacity magazines,
for your testimony. I do have
you
to
can
cut
print
you
one
off.
in your basement.
We're at a minute 15 seconds. I have to cut you off. Thank you very much for your testimony, and you have a good evening.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please. Good evening and welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Thank you. My name is David Wood. I'm from Charlestown. I'm a veteran and a teacher, and I oppose all gun control bills. The Second Amendment doesn't grant the right of the people to keep and bear arms. That right of individual or collective defense is granted at birth. The Second Amendment protects the citizenry from the overreach of government. Article 1, Section 22 of our Rhode Island State Constitution also protects that same right. This section of our state constitution has already been infringed, and I urge you to repeal all unconstitutional laws which infringe on our right to keep and bear arms. Gun crime is a socioeconomic problem. Law-abiding gun owners, by definition, do not commit crimes. Criminals, by definition, do not follow laws. Please allow the good citizens to defend themselves and others from the bad citizens. Please allow the good citizens to continue to pursue their hobbies, competitive shooting, hunting, gunsmithing, etc. According to the Giffords Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence, Rhode Island is ranked as having the 9th toughest gun laws in the country already. These newly proposed gun control bills will not reduce crime, will be difficult or impossible to enforce, and will make criminals of ordinary citizens who currently own legal items.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Appreciate it. I'm sorry I have to cut you off. We're going to keep everybody to a minute 15, but thank you for your testimony. You have a nice evening.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please. Good evening and welcome to the committee. Would you please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Thank you, sir. My name is Kevin Vendatuli. I'm a lifelong resident of Little Compton. I'm a practicing attorney out of Newport, Rhode Island. Senators, I appreciate your time, your patience, and I just wanted to offer this verbal testimony in addition to my written testimony that was submitted, which I would direct you to for a fuller explanation of my position. The purpose of this exercise has been reduced to 1 minute to engage in dialogue, and I haven't heard anything from the sponsors or proponents of this legislation, including 406, 414, 415, which I'm opposed to myself. I feel like it's a tone-deaf approach, which we nationwide suffer from, and we need to work together and sort of come across aisle to find a solution. My research into this issue has shown me that the proposed laws are far more progressive than what's been upheld before elsewhere, such as in Massachusetts. And in fact, the Ninth Circuit case on this matter, which was rejected, which is now pending a full hearing with the full bank and the full panel, is a perfect example of the split in the circuits on this matter. That's going to lead to Rhode Island.
Thank you very much. I do have to cut you off. I want you to finish your sentence, but I have to cut you off. I have a nice evening and appreciate your testimony. Next
Thank
caller,
you, sir.
please. Oh, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in. Next caller, please. Good evening and welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Shane Sullivan, South Kingstown. Now, although I support some of these bills before you, while Rhode Island is still in the state of emergency, all non-budgetary issues should be put on hold until such a time when the residents of the state are allowed to return to the People's House to peacefully assemble and oppose or support introduced legislation, which is the cornerstone of any fair democracy. So I do ask that each of you oppose these bills. I'm the father of a child in elementary school, middle school, and high school, and a husband of a public school teacher. I'm appalled by the reintroduction of the so-called School Safety Act, S-73, as it poses a threat to the safety and security of my entire family. According to the Department of Homeland Security, the average school shooting lasts 12.5 minutes, while the average police response time is 18 minutes. Any disruption in that 12.5 minutes has the potential of saving lives. Addressing 414 and 415, as we know, RI saw a 103% increase in background checks over 2019 and far surpassed the previous Rhode Island record. These numbers are important this year because the majority of them were first-time. Whoa.
Oh, you can wrap it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. I appreciate you calling in, and thank you for being mindful of the time. Have a nice evening.
You too.
Thank you. Next caller, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Good evening. My name is Robert Harding. I'm calling from West Warwick. I'm calling to oppose all the anti-Second Amendment bills that are up for discussion tonight and in favor of all the pro-Second Amendment bills. The Supreme Court held that we can't ban firearms that are in common use for legal purposes. The AR-15 and all these rifles that are similar to the AR-15 are the most common rifles in America, as are defined as high-capacity magazines, which are actually standard capacity magazines. One other point I'd like to make is there are two bills in favor of suppressors in the state of Rhode Island. Rhode Island is one of 10 states that does not allow the ownership of suppressors. They are federally allowed, federally regulated. Rhode Island is one of the very few states that does not allow these. I'd like to see that change. Aside from that, that's just about all I have to say on the topic.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Appreciate it. You have a nice evening.
You too.
Thank you. Next caller, please. Good evening and welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify, and you may begin.
Yes, my name is Cedric Huntley.
Yes, go ahead,
and I live in Providence, and I'm in the Senate district of Senator Goodwin. I'm calling to urge this committee to support Attorney General Norona's package of important gun safety legislation, Bill 73, 129, 406, 414, 415, 416, 417, and 419. Gun safety is really important to me because I am the executive director of the Nonviolence Institute, and we see firsthand the trauma that is committed by those acts of violence. Please move these bills to the floor for debate. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Appreciate it. You have a nice evening. Next caller, please. Good evening and welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Augustus, or Gus Kinzel Oot, last name spelled U-H-T, from Cumberland, Rhode Island, in Senator Ryan Pearson's district. I support Attorney General Narona's critical gun safety legislation, including bills 73, 129, 406, 414, 415, 416, 417, and 419. There is no place in our society for the common citizen or resident to own or use assault-style weapons. It is well established that these guns provide little safety. They only serve to maximize the number of injuries and deaths of those unfortunate enough to be near mass shootings. Would the government allow ownership of hand grenades for self-defense? Of course not. The same can be said of assault weapons. I urge the committee to support the aforementioned bills and to move the bills to the Senate floor for debate and passage.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Appreciate it. You have a very nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
Next caller, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin. Good evening. So that call dropped. We have one on deck. Please stand by. And we'll call that individual back. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Yeah, my name is David Leach. I live in Providence. I don't want to take anyone's guns away. If you want to hunt safely, go target shooting, skeet shooting, have a weapon in your home, and do it safely, that's fine with me. But I do take exception to what some people have said. They referred to the Second Amendment in such a way as though to suggest it's inviolate. It is not. No amendment to the Constitution has escaped interpretation. This includes the Second Amendment. There are various states that have laws that are constitutional that put restrictions on things such as age, mental health, whether you have a felony conviction, or how or who may own or use a firearm. These restrictions can apply as well to semi-automatic weapons. As we know, in other states, they have these laws and they pass constitutional muster. The other thing that I wanted to comment on is so-called constitutional carry. That's a misnomer. What they're referring to is carrying without any kind of permit. Judge Anthony Scalia said that is not what the Constitution says.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Appreciate it.
No law is unconstitutional until the Supreme Court says it is.
Thank you. We have a question for you from Senator Rogers. Senator Rogers, go ahead, please.
I just want to clarify the misnomer. 20 states allow constitutional carry. That's not a misnomer in my book.
Excuse me. The misnomer is that it's constitutional carry. You can call it permitless carry, you can call it open carry, you can call it concealed carry, you can call it whatever you want to call it. But by calling it constitutional carry, you're suggesting that the Constitution, in fact, says that it's permissible. The answer is, if a state says they want to do that, they can. But the Supreme Court has not ruled that in a general way the Second Amendment says that that's included. Scalia said that that's not what it means. So by calling it constitutional carry, all you're doing is trying to give it an imprimatur that it doesn't have.
Thank you very much for your well, Senator Rogers, you may follow up.
No, I'm just going to respond by saying I will affectionately call it constitutional carry. That's
well, be my guest, but that's the misnomer part of it. Wait until the Supreme Court has
its... Next caller, please. We have to pay attention to the minute and 15 seconds or we're not going to be respecting all our callers. As much as I like to debate like anyone else, but we really need to be mindful of time. Thank you. If you could stand by, a call dropped. We're just going to get the next caller. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify, and you may begin.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Steve D. Hart, and I live in Warwick, Rhode Island. First of all, I want to state that we do not have a problem with legal gun owners in Rhode Island. Yet these proposed bills will impact us, not the criminals. I, like thousands of others in Rhode Island, own firearms. We don't own weapons. Weapons are used to commit crimes. We do not commit crimes. Using the term weapons has been a media ploy in an attempt to vilify us lawful gun owners, and it's working. I'm listening to people out of everyone's mouth the word weapon, weapon, weapon. It just doesn't matter. These proposed laws will have no bearing on criminals or crime. I just want to close by saying decisions should be made based on facts, not on emotions and opinions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your testimony. You have a nice evening. Next caller, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Hi, my name is Matt Chisnell, and I am from Burville, Rhode Island. I wanted to first start off with to let you know that the words that I'll speak will let you know where I stand. Homicides account for just for 0.1% of all offenses known to law enforcement. Mass shootings represent a fraction of all homicides. In a recent study done by Cochio, which is a lawyer and a gun rights activist, and his colleagues, the average annual victimization rate of mass shootings, meaning the rate of being injured or killed in one, is less than 0.04% per 100,000 people. To put this into comparison, being a victim of a mass shooting is just about as unlikely as being struck by lightning, which occurs at a rate of 0.035% per 100,000 people. Over the course of a lifetime, you're far more likely to be killed in a car crash, in a fire, or choking by food. A magazine ban will outright ban all modern firearms and reduce us to muskets.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Appreciate it. You have a very nice evening.
You too, sir.
Thank you. Next caller, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to testify. You may begin.
Thank you. My name is Paul DiGiulio. I'm from Hope Valley, Rhode Island, and I just want to point out I support those bills that are being submitted in favor of gun rights and oppose most of the anti-gun bills, especially S0129. I'm a former police officer and retired disabled veteran in the United States Air Force who has sworn the same solemn oath as esteemed and respected body swore to uphold, to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. The Second Amendment is part of that special set of rights granted by a divine creator at birth, which no government has the right to infringe upon or take away according to our forefathers. So please forgive me if I question the purpose behind legislation which, in my opinion, attempts to circumvent the Constitution. Discussing the infringement of the Second Amendment deserves more investigation and a greater voice of the people so we can continue with the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. I keep hearing about common sense measures, yet where's the common sense behind the logic disconnect that allows us to believe violating God-given rights by trying to limit or remove a tool will result in curtailing a deranged individual who by definition will not obey any of the legislation being proposed here and will not stop mass shootings as evidenced by the automatic weapons used in mass shootings in both London and Australia. Why ban a tool when we can spend money on actual measures which will protect our children? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Senator Rogers.
Just want to thank that gentleman for his service and his comments, that's all.
Thank you very much. Next witness, please. Good evening. Welcome to the committee. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
My name is Mike Dooley. I'm a lifelong resident of Warwick, Rhode Island. Outside of time, I served in the military.
My wife and I have lived here for a long time and have served in the Rhode Island National Guard for over 30 years. I'm calling to oppose S73, S406, S414, S415, S416, S417, S402, and S129. I'd specifically like to speak to S1219, which repeals authority of local police chiefs to issue concealed carry permits. Currently, local police chiefs and their departments conduct background checks and vet a CCW applicant. The local police department is the best place to be doing these types of checks, these types of reviews, and these types of referrals. This is not just my opinion, but just recently, back in February 2020, Rhode Island actually enacted new laws that states that gun purchase background checks must be done in the hometown where the person resides, because they're most likely to know when or how that person behaves, and they're the best ones to review and act on such.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next witness, please. Good evening. Thank you for your patience. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Thank you. My name is Dean Swanson. I'm from North Kingstown, Rhode Island. I do oppose all the pending gun bills, the anti-gun bills, obviously. In particular, I oppose Senate Bill 129. There is no reason to take the permit process away from the local authority. The city or town police department have a better idea of who should and should not be given permits. They know their citizens much better than anyone at the state level. The system is not broke. There have been no issues with permit holders committing crimes, so this is really a needless law that only penalizes the law-abiding. And I guess that's it.
Thank you so much for your testimony this evening. Next witness, please.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Manick. I'm a resident of Providence, Rhode Island. I'm calling to oppose any and all anti-gun bills that are before us tonight. Specifically, 414. It basically bans all magazines and not just standard 30-round capacity with the wording of the bill, since most common magazines have a removable base plate. At the time the Second Amendment was ratified, there was a 22-round magazine. Meriwether Lewis carried one, which he acquired from a Pennsylvania gunsmith on the Lewis and Clark expedition. America's founders knew about and embraced such arms. To say they didn't expect standard capacity magazines of 30 plus rounds is something else. We're at a point in time where 20 states have recognized constitutional carry. I think it's time that we add Rhode Island to that list.
Thank you very much thank you for your testimony. We're at 1:15.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness, please. Good evening. Welcome to the Committee on Judiciary. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
Robert Panicucci, Cumberland. I oppose those bills that are infringing on the Second Amendment rights of legal and non-criminal gun owners. I oppose the bills that do not identify the activities of criminals, the mental illness, or families that have mental illness in their families that fail to respond to individuals that they know have defects. I oppose the bills that would eliminate magazine capacity to certain capacities and to eliminate guns ownership in general. I do want to say that I am a citizen, and I have failed to understand why you attack the legally non-criminal members of society. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next witness, please. Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may begin.
My name is Raphael from Coventry, and I'm opposed to all gun legislation introduced that infringes on Rhode Islanders' rights, specifically 415 and 414. In regards to the invented term assault weapons, these firearms do not magically become more lethal based on appearance. Unfortunately, the so-called common sense legislation has nothing to do with common sense and more how someone feels. Realistically, the officers at the State House have 9mm handguns, which the same ammunition and magazines can be used in so-called assault weapons. Shotgun rounds are also able to do this. These firearms are not magically more dangerous than deemed safe firearms of the same caliber. Not to mention the FBI year after year reports these deaths account for less than 5% of all firearm deaths. The magazine ban is purposely written in a manner that would prohibit essentially all magazines with the intent that it would ban the firearm in its use. The CDC also did a study in 2013 issued by Obama and found that the mass shootings are not only statistically rare but infrequent. A common misconception that many are told is that the CDC is barred from studying gun violence, which is simply not true.
Thank you for your testimony this evening.
Thank you.
May I have the next witness, please? Good evening. Welcome to our committee. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may proceed.
My name is Christopher Schwartz. I live in Cranston, Senate District 26. I am strongly opposed to S2029, 414, 415. 414 and 415 will have no effect on what a criminal does with a firearm. It will only affect law-abiding citizens in this state. As far as 029, it's been reiterated a few times tonight. Your local police chief will know better about the residents of his city or town than heaping thousands of applications onto one single entity, being the Attorney General's office. I think the Attorney General's office would be better off spending their time prosecuting criminals for the gun charges that they have been charged with. That's all I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next witness, please. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may proceed.
David Huth, Portsmouth, Rhode Island. I am an instructor and a competitive marksman on many platforms. I oppose all anti-gun legislation. I support Senate Bill 0509 and Senate Bill 119, concealed carry reciprocity, and the reporting bill, because information is important and figure out how to do our laws. I oppose Senate Bill 73 because that makes our schools gun-free zones and therefore soft targets, endangering our children. There are thousands of defensive gun uses a year, possibly as low as 500,000 at a minimum. I train 24 people a month with my constituents, and half of them are usually women. They always seek more training after these classes. And we also do youth training, notably the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and Sea Cadets at our local club. And I want to thank Bruce, Rogers, and Archambault for upholding their oaths to the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Excuse me, for your testimony. Next witness, please. Good evening. Thank you for joining us and for your patience. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may proceed.
Good evening, or good morning now. My name is Steve Sherloff. I'm from the town of Coventry, Rhode Island. I would like you all to not approve bills S129, 414, 415, 416. These all should just be thrown right in the garbage can because they do nothing for the citizens of the state of Rhode Island. This is bad legislation. If we need to do something for the state, we need to enforce the laws that we have now. Put the criminals in jail, stop plea bargaining everything, and just put them in jail. Stop taking it out on us private citizens who happen to enjoy shooting with firearms. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Next witness, please. Good evening. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you're from, and you have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may proceed.
Hi, my name is Angela Gemma. I'm a lifelong resident of Exeter, Rhode Island. I'm a taxpayer and an active voter. I'm testifying in opposition to the gun control bills being heard tonight and in support of the pro-firearms bills. I'd like to mention that because of COVID-19 and the fact that we're unable to protest at the State House, that they should not be voted on this year, but I know that they will, so I'd like to bring up the following points. For the FBI crime statistics database, Rhode Island is the second safest state as far as gun crime. From 2012 to 2016, which is the most recent data available, there were 0 deaths with rifles in Rhode Island. This will be punishing law-abiding citizens. In a recent study by the Washington Post, 80% of gun crime is committed with stolen firearms. The laws will make lawful gun owners felons overnight. I've never even been pulled over, let alone received a ticket, and yet these laws will make me a felon if they go through. They go far beyond any other state's firearms laws. They attempt to ban magazines with removable floor plates is essentially a ban on every firearm manufactured in the last 50 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next witness, please. Good evening. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may proceed.
Hello, my name is Amy Gardiner, and I'm calling to testify in, basically I'm just going to summarize it as I do not support any further restrictions in the state of Rhode Island since we are in the top of restrictions for the country already. I don't feel we have statistics or any means in which we need to have further restrictions within our state. I feel actually that we should have a simpler process to apply and be accepted for concealed carry permits, and that we should have reciprocal ability between state lines for the concealed carry permits. So I urge you not to have further restrictions and to please make the processes for the concealed carry more effective in the state of Rhode Island.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next witness, please. Good evening. Welcome to the Committee on Judiciary. Please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may proceed.
Thank you. I'm Melanie Dyer. I'm from Kingston, Rhode Island. I'm calling in regards to the bills that are on the floor. I'd like very much for you to consider that the citizens that are law-abiding and are safety qualified citizens should be allowed to carry concealed handguns, and if anything, they should be eased with some of the restrictions so that they could go from state to state and that kind of thing. I think that would be a good thing and keep all the citizens safe, because it's the criminals that are not abiding by any of your laws that are doing these things, and they wouldn't be doing a lot of this stuff if people could stand up and defend themselves, and it would also stop people from even trying to. I also think that the local authorities should be the ones that are giving the permits for the carry, concealed carry, because the local authority is in direct contact with the local people, and they best know how to make that kind of decision. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your testimony this evening. Next witness, please. Good evening. Welcome to the Committee on Judiciary, and thank you for your patience. If you could please state your name, the town you are from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may proceed.
Hi, my name is Alan Gibberti. I'm not from Barrington or Bristol or Warren. I'm from West Warwick. I'm calling to oppose all the Attorney General's painfully ignorant, no common sense gun bills that would ban assault weapons and straw purchases, which are against the law, keeping guns out of schools. Our schools need to be armed, and more ignorant legislation on high-capacity magazines and locking my firearms up. How many times do I have to tell you people to stay out of my bedroom? The reason I'm doing this is because I care about real gun safety and not some feel-good gun legislation paraded around to make, none of us safer, and is written simply to pander to the mobs in hopes of re-election.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next witness, please.
Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may proceed.
Good evening. My name is Greg Grunfolder. I'm from Woonsocket. I come before you to testify against each of the anti-gun bills, principally those impacting those restrictions on magazines and the assault weapons ban. These bills shift focusing the rights of the law-abiding gun owners instead of focusing on criminals. As written, the bills would force the loss of a vested property right without compensation, and the registration portion of the assault weapons ban violates another portion of Rhode Island state law against establishing a firearms registry. I come in support of the various pro-gun bills. Concealed carry reciprocity is a critic with surrounding states. Those who have concealed carry licenses need to procure licenses in both Massachusetts and Connecticut to carry a firearm. And basically, if you're living on the border with those states, you have to be very careful not to avoid going across the line and breaking the law. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Thank you very much. Just for the committee's information, we are nearing the end with several more witnesses on this last page that I'm working on. Next witness, please. Good evening. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may proceed.
Hi, my name is Knox Williams. I'm with the American Suppressor Association based out of Atlanta, Georgia. In addition to our written testimony, I'm testifying tonight to offer our organization's full support of Senator Rogers' bills to legalize suppressors for ownership and hunting in Rhode Island. Suppressors are legal to own in 42 states and are legal to hunt within 40. No device can silence the noise of a gunshot. They are simply too loud. However, suppressors can reduce the noise to safer levels. That's why the CDC, National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, and National Hearing Conservation Association all recommend the use of suppressors as a tool to mitigate preventable hearing damage. Senate Bills 508 and 517 are enacted. Suppressors will still be subject to some of the strictest federal regulations in existence. To legally purchase one, buyers must send in an application to ATF that includes fingerprint cards and passport photos, pay a $200 transfer tax, notify their chief law enforcement officer, and wait an average of 6 to 18 months for ATF and FBI to conduct the background check and process the application. The use of suppressors by criminals is a near statistical anomaly because A, they don't actually silence anything, B, suppressed guns are harder to conceal, and C, there are severe federal penalties. According to Ronald Turk, former number 2 at ATF, quote, very rarely used in criminal shootings. Given the lack of criminality associated with silencers, it is reasonable to conclude that they should not be viewed as a threat to public safety, end quote. For these reasons, the American Suppressor Association asks that you support these bills. Should any legislators want to learn more about suppressors, I'd be more than happy to host an educational suppressor demonstration at any time of your choosing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was a lot in a short period of time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your testimony. Next witness, please. Good evening. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may proceed.
Thank you. My name is Travis McGowan. I'm from Warwick. I grew up in a lot of committee hearings of health, education, and welfare. My dad was a state representative for 8 years in the 90s. And after that, I served in the United States Marine Corps. And I've become a bit of a shooting enthusiast. And, well, I think a lot of the bills that you guys have in front of you that you're discussing tonight are well-intentioned, that they're not going to have the outcome that you may believe. I think that most of what's going to happen is it's going to be gun owners and shooting enthusiasts who suffer from this. I think the real problem is the mental health issue and stronger background checks. I don't think, because if somebody illegally obtains a gun or, and they have 10 10-round magazines, it's not going to make a difference whether they have 3 30-round magazines. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your testimony this evening. Next witness, please. Good evening. Thank you for your patience. Please state your name, the town you're from. You have 1 minute and 15 seconds. You may proceed.
Nicholas Guarino, Foster, Rhode Island. I oppose S402 as a standard capacity magazine that comes with my Armalite rifle. I do not think should be illegal. I do support all of the good bills, S-119, 176, 191, 456, 507, 508, 509, 517, 522. I thank Senator Gordon Rogers and De La Cruz for the hard work that they put in supporting the Constitution and our rights.
Thank you very much for your testimony this evening. Well, that is the last witness, and before we adjourn, I would like to thank the staff who worked very, very hard this evening, and of course my partner here on the rostrum, Senator Archambault. And thank you very much to the sponsors and for the committee members for being engaged, and thank you again to the public for your patience this evening. With that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn, and I appreciate the hard work you guys have done tonight. It's been a long night.
Thank you very much, Senator Rogers, and it's second by Senator Raptakis. All in favor?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Thank you. Great work.